Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Bear Degidio, and we are back with another episode of the Jackson Podcast. I'm sitting here with one of the greatest co-hosts of all time, Twitch, and we have a certified legend in the house today. Ladies and gentlemen, Robbie, Maddison, and the family. Come on. Come on. Look at the boys. Hey, he's styling on the corner. Hey, let him know your name. Let him know how old you are. Just give him some love. I got to hear this off the break.
I'm Rockhold, and I'm 7.
Yes, say it like that. You see that? That's how you say it with your chest. Go ahead. You go next.
Hey, I'm Jared, and I'm 11, and yeah, I ride, and...
Way better hair than Twitch. All right, you're up.
My name's Cruz, and I'm 13.
Cruz is going to be... Hey, you got to be careful around the ladies. You're going to be a monster.
He's
fully already.
Oh, Jesus. See that? With the accent and everything. And then, obviously, no introduction needed for the man himself.
Nope, Mr. Robbie
43,
Maddison.
dog.
We're like dinosaurs, dude, but still having fun.
Still having fun. Age is the number, right?
I love it. You get some new teeth, dude?
Yeah.
I like
I
that.
need them. They were falling out.
Look at that, dude. I saw someone post something the other day. I'm like, I saw a smile. I'm like, you got a new grill.
It's interesting
That's
how you notice that.
See, when you get a little bit older, you spend money on shit that you need, not that you want. You
know? Yeah. Teeth. We want people to take you seriously. You need some teeth.
Yeah. When they're sitting up here throwing Wu-Tang, they ain't taking serious anymore.
Do you remember that my teeth that were always like popping out? I had them on the plate.
Oh, dude. I remember I think you went to Vegas or something and you broke your tooth out at the bar. It was like your...
Yeah, I had the plate, and I remember I put him in Chad Reed's dad's drink, and he like saw him in there. I thought it'd be funny. He threw him across the nightclub. I went chasing my teeth, and I seen him. I'm like about to grab him, and someone just stood right on and broke him. I got some gum and like put my teeth back in with some gum.
Can you imagine taking your teeth out and putting it in someone's cup?
Well, if you're Robbie, yes. If he could pull all those out, he would stick them in your drink right now.
Oh, yeah, let's keep this one over here, dude. You keep drinking your Red Bull. I'm going to put my water cup over here. I mean, this is like one of the most dynamic families I've seen in a long time. This is incredible.
It's awesome because I remember seeing Cruz when he was first born. Same with you and same with you. And it's like, he's been there since day one. Like when we were competing, we would ride at his house every single day. Nadeum's house, like Deegan's house, like everyone's house. So it was kind of just like Danger Boys. Like these kids have seen all the progression from what we have done and everyone around us. So it's like when they see what we're doing, it's really nothing to them. They've been seeing it their whole life, you know? So I think it comes more natural and easier for them because they have top dudes riding at their house every single day that they can watch do certain things. They learn from their dad. It's like, and it's cool to see the progression from especially these two right now. Like I've been seeing so much video footage of them riding. It's been insane.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's making me proud. I'm a proud uncle.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I thought you were a grandpa.
Well, my uncle over here, dude.
I just want to make
it don't want to be a grandpa over here, dude.
I want to jump in off the break. Like the family dynamic on social for everybody that is watching Instagram. Like I'm watching these kids do flips. Mm-hmm. It's like young Twitches, young Robbies. How did that happen? Did you just say, all right, these kids are going to grow up riding like I did? Or you're like, they just took it on their own?
Yeah, they took it on their own. I really didn't want them to. I spoke about being like pilots. And
he would take them golfing all the time, trying to just get them away from dirt bikes.
Totally. And had a golf club in Cruz's hand when Dale was born pretty much. But yeah, bikes just natural progression. I think for me, it's like it's a way of freedom. And it's been my whole life is motorcycles and bikes. So I got them on a bike right away just because just see the smile on the young kid's face. You know, you see them on those little Strider bikes, and then we got the Stasics with the little electric bikes, and those introduction Stasics were key to them just having fun. Like they wanted their bikes every single day, and you know we're blessed enough to have a bit of land, so they're out there scrolling around and twisting the throttle, and then just naturally it just. Yeah, without out of my hands, and it didn't matter what I wanted. You know, obviously, if we lived on a golf course, it might have been different. But having our front yard the way it is, you got guys like Tucker and Twitch, and you know all our friends. You know, you could list them all, but they're all come and ride at the house at some point, and these guys see it, and they become friends with these kids, and guys and girls, and it's just in their front yard. You know, it's like it's hard to get it out. They go, I want to do that, and I was like, damn, okay, I knew it was coming, and. Yeah, strangely enough, they're really freaking good at it.
Yeah. Seriously, they're getting really good. Like I see some videos where I'm like, damn, he's doing that better than me, and he's 13. I'm like, what? Imagine when he's like in his prime. Like he's just starting riding freestyle. You know what I mean? So
it's cool to see. The thing I really enjoy, I think you can't teach someone they're either born with it or not. It's just like that natural gift of like knowing the right speed and just the air awareness, and you know they're both great at it. You know, I think what I noticed with Jagger, little guy, is like he's in Cruz's shoes and Cruz's shadow all the time. It seems like he gets frustrated because he's at like 10, he's 11, Cruz is 13, and obviously just he's 3-4 years ahead of him. So he never really gets a spotlight, but behind his bigger brother is this little guy just humbly kind of chipping away at it each day. And I always try to note that I'm proud of him because he rides so good. And just to see him get on his bike and, we moved the ramps around. I put the airbag up the other day and Cruiser just had a crash and it was partly my fault. I'd set up for the jump and we'd measured it into the foam pit.
Dad, good one, dude.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, at the flip, I think it was like 23 feet. And then we measured it, but we measured it wrong. And then it was like 43 or something.
No. Hey,
That's double.
that made me look too bad, dude.
Dad, that's a double.
I can understand Dad
I'm
messing up a couple
dyslexic.
feet, but double?
It was upside down. No, we measured into the foam pit, so the ramp was like lower than the pit. So you're measuring down, and then when we went to the other spot, it was measuring up. So 40 or 23 feet up and 23 down.
You gained a couple feet.
That arc is so much different, and it actually became like 5 to 8. It was actually what I figured out was 8 feet differences in like physical length. So he just landed 8 feet shorter, which is in the back of the bag. And
He landed where he was supposed to. He was just 8 feet short.
So it shot him backwards, and I copped it from their mum, and but then we went. I was like, all right, I'm the bad guy. I'll do the extra work. We set the airbag up over there, so it's like it's a different setup, and then Cruz is terrified of it at that point, and he's like,
Dad, I don't trust
I'm
you.
not feeling it. Yeah, and then Jagger's like, I got it, Dad, and I was like, all right, if you're feeling it, he's like, can I jump it? I'm like, if you're feeling it and your heart's telling you got it, you don't need to be told. So he just rolled around, and I was like, dude, that shows like something else. So that's why I wanted to make that note. Is like they're both incredible. They both got, and Cruz as well. Like he's watching guys. Like the other day he learned like 3 tricks in one day. So it's not all me. I'm just like there, kind of being dad, and I chase him around and try and give him the advice I can. I pull him up when I was like, hey, you're doing this wrong. You need to lean forwards, or you're chopping the throttle, or this, that, the other. But for the most part, they're at home. They're watching on their tablets, whatever, and they're watching new tricks. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to try this. And I see them like off at the start, they're thinking about it and they're processing it, and they come out and then they got the hunger and they're thirsty. So it's nice to be able to have the platform for them to put that thirst and that desire that they got there to work. So and they're doing it to work. It's like every day. Like now the road. How many days straight you guys ridden?
Like 18.
Yeah, Mum's been gone for 18 days, so they've ridden 18 days.
Remember when we used to do that?
Yeah,
I can't ride 18 days straight anymore.
your body hurts, huh?
Yeah, it hurts bad. It hurts after one day.
Yeah,
It hurts before I even get on my bike.
right.
Do you kids feel like you have to like kind of put on a bigger show knowing who your dad is, or are you guys just enjoying yourself because you're so young?
Yeah, I don't know. He's never really put too much pressure on us. I feel like he's never like ever expected anything. He's always said have fun. So no, I don't really think so. I just go out, do what I can do, stay inside my comfort limits, and just have fun.
I put more pressure on myself than anybody.
That's how you get better. And it's
love
like you see your brother doing everything before you, so kind of lights that fire,
Yeah.
pisses you off a little bit. You're like,
Yeah.
all right, if he can do it, I can do it.
Try to be better than him.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
That's how you get better. Like when me and your dad were riding contests, and Nate, like we would all ride together every single day. And even though we were practicing, it was basically a contest in the front yard of who could do what trick
Right.
better, who could
Yeah.
learn something before each other. Like we always rode and we had fun, but we were always pushing each other, and that's how you get better.
Yeah.
And for you guys right now, it's like perfect. It's like the ideal situation. Like you guys are the future of freestyle motocross for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Is it crazy looking at like the future? Because I know you guys have paved the way, and like this is legitimately the future.
It is. There's only been a few other kids that I know of that were their age riding freestyle, like Jacko. Like he's out. He has so many medals at X Games now. Like when
Yeah,
he
insane.
first jumped on tour with us, I think he was 13
Yeah.
or 14
Levi
years old.
Sherwood.
Yeah, Levi Sherwood. There's
then,
only been a few kids that have been like
that,
that actually show like greatness at such a young age.
Yeah, Rob Adelberg.
Yep.
In terms of like the jumps, the other day we were looking at that video on Instagram. You guys are jumping on these bikes. What are those things called? Those little electric
The
bikes?
Stasics?
Yeah.
they're doing demos for Stasic actually at all the a few of the Supercross rounds. And I saw the last round. Was that the first time you landed the 360 in Vegas?
Dude. Yeah, no, that was like that was a big moment for me. I've never done a 360. You don't do it on the dirt bike. And I was trying it the day before at our house, and I just kept on like landing backwards. And I just kept on doing. I kept on landing off the airbag though, and then I cut all the backs of my legs, and then last jump of the show, I stuck it.
You're like, I'm just gonna try it.
Yeah, it was a cool moment. Yeah, everyone was stoked.
That's rad. Yeah,
I tried it all day. I crashed every one, and then last jump pulled it.
I remember
stoked.
seeing the video of it. And I was like, dude, I've never seen you even try that. Like, that's rad. So you learned it in a day.
Yeah, no, yeah, I just like sitting there. I was like, I'll just try 360.
I was telling him, I'm like, I used to do at the skate park. I used to have the 360, right? So I was like, you can do it, you know. So I don't push him too much, but I always like to give him like the advice and just like point out what I can. And I was like, you know, you have to lead with your head, whatever it is. And dude, they're such great. The one thing they're awesome at is, they're awesome at a lot of things, but it's following like when you tell them something, they put it right to work.
Yeah.
I love seeing that in someone that's hungry, you know, and we all, like, especially younger brother, like he's like kind of gets down on himself. Oh, I can't do that. I'm like, you can do it. And so it's just he feels pressured by his brother because he wants to leapfrog there, whereas he's taking one step at a time at his own pace, and then he like wants to jump 5 steps ahead. I'm like, you can't do that. So it gets frustrating for him at times, but he's doing it and he's doing great. And so he's just, you know, he did the flip in the foam pit, and you know he's got it dialed. But I'm like, just don't pressure it, you know.
Yeah,
just wait till
baby steps. There's no need to rush it.
Yeah, just wait till you know you got 100%. You're not even tripping on it, and then that's the time to do it at other places, you know.
And like, what better teacher could you have other than your dad, who's
Someone's done it all wrong.
who's done it all wrong and all right at the same time? You know what I mean? So it's like you have the best of both worlds right there. Like, we've seen so many guys rush tricks and get hurt really bad. So it's like, and your dad's never going to steer you guys in the wrong direction and tell you he thinks you can do something when you can't.
Yeah, until it comes to measuring ramps. I'm trying to
Did that one sting a little bit?
Yeah, no, I'm still like emotionally scarred from that. I couldn't. We were at the show the other day, and Dad's like, "Oh yeah, this is the distance. I made him push it in 5 feet." I was like,
Let me measure
it.
Just to make sure.
Let me measure it.
It's kind of cool though, being able to kind of build a career at a young age, and I call it a career because, like Twitch is saying, you guys are the futures. It's got to be cool feeling to be able to do it with your dad, with someone who knows, cares about you, wants the best for you. Do you guys ever feel like you're kind of like going in the right way or the wrong way when you're doing tricks because he's behind you?
Yeah, no, I feel like it fluctuates. You know, you do something good one day and then the next day it's totally different.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. We go to South Africa in 6 days then we go WSX in the South Africa, and yeah, we get the ride with our dad in front of the huge crowds. It'll be sick. Freestyle Kings.
Pretty rad.
It is awesome. The first time I had Cruz jump the ramp at the home, and you know I have like a littler ramp up on the hill, so he's jumping that one, and then once I finally got him over to the bigger one, I got him so he's jumping that same distance as off a smaller ramp. I'm like, this one's gonna be. It's always like you got mum there, like, don't you hurt my babies, and I'm like,
Mom is the gatekeeper. She will whoop your ass if you hurt her kids. Like,
and I'm like, he can do this, like it's the same setup, and so you know, as someone that like knows it intimately, like we do, you know when like. All right, any further that the ramp, it's more dangerous to do it there than it is to do it over here. Yeah. So it's like what seems like a gnarly step, it might actually be safer. And so then that's why I got the airbag landing at the house too. That was like one of the prerequisites to like allow the boys to keep going doing this, because she's seen me like, you know, being dead on the floor literally in front of her a few times. Yeah. So she's like, yeah, we're not doing this with our kids. And so the airbag, I mean, we're pumped. We got the Degidio airbag, and it's literally a game changer. So it's I got used to it, and it's cool. But when he came over and was jumping that smaller ramp and I got into the bigger side, it was the coolest thing when he finally jumped that bigger ramp, and I'm following my kid into this ramp going, I'm following my kid into this ramp. It's
like I'm doing what I love with my son, and he loves it as well. Like,
amazing. And then to be able to like tour with Freestyle Kings now, and we're doing it in front of a live show. It's like my favorite part of the show, but I think like a lot of the crowd, like the little kids in there. I remember when I was a little kid seeing other little kids on Pee Wee 50s. That was the thing that got me so addicted to motorcycles in the first place, was just seeing there was the Pee Wee 50, those spoke wheels. It still has the same effect on me nowadays. I see those bikes, I hear the sound, I'm just like, it's that same thing that got me when I was a kid, was it still kind of affects me now. And that's why I still have a Pee Wee 50. Kids have all learned on it, and we don't get rid of it, because I'm like, that is like, to me, the coolest thing. That's like what I fell in love with when I was a little kid, was like this little bike that I could hop on, I could ride around, and I just had that freedom. And so to be able to like take it from there on these live shows now, and then be out there in front of a crowd, and these guys come out, it's like I see the little kids just, they're so stoked to see other little kids like jumping. And it just, you see at the shows, you know, when we have the meet and greets with the fans, these little kids come up, they're just so stoked in these boys, and they carry themselves well. There's, make sure they're super friendly to these kids because it's impactful, right? It's life-changing moments for these kids as we tour, and obviously it's great for these boys. They're getting used to it, but it's like one day we'll all stop and realize how amazing this moment of time was, and for these little kids to have this opportunity to come out and meet and see us, it's just cool to be able to exchange that passion with people. I think that's what makes me so stoked about freestyle motocross. It's why I'm still riding. It's not like to be better than anyone. I love riding with this dude. Like we've been buddies for 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And just to ride with each other, like probably, we still competed with each other. Like I still look at his chick and go, I think, damn, he's doing that bit better than me. Or like I got him on that one. We still do that. We'll always do that.
There is never not a time where there's competition with me and Robbie because like we'll be driving home from a dinner and he'll go one way, I'll go the other way, and my chick will always be like, seriously? You're gonna race him to the next stoplight on the back road or no? I'm like, no. And I'm just like hauling ass and like he'll blow the stop sign. I'm like, that mother, he got me, you know what I mean? Like literally everything we do is a competition, like for real.
I can imagine. The way he
Everything
is.
we do. It's like it's just who we are. It's how we get joy out of life.
I mean, that camaraderie, though, you guys built that over the course of years, and we've seen that like with X Games legends and freestyle legends like your guys' selves. Do you guys ever remember like an event that you guys had to like compete against each other or do something against each other? That
almost every event. Like we would always like, because we would ride it together during the week all the time. Like I would go practice at his house. We would go ride Nate's house.
I just wish the X Games would have been in Australia, so I could have got the local favoritism like Twitch
for the whip.
The local favoritism.
Yeah, I got a couple
judge
years.
event.
I got a couple years of some whip contest medals handed to me for sure.
Yeah, no, there's been some good battles head to head. I remember LG Action Sports. I bought your bike off you. I'm on your bike. I'm like, I beat you in this one. We're sitting next to each other. I'm like, if you fucking win this one, I'm like, so pissed. And then it comes up and the score, he beats me like half a point. I'm like, fuck that. I rode up. I just roosted him in the face. Just all dirt to his face. I was so pissed.
I mean, it's got to be like an exciting time though to watch that over the course of like 20 years.
Oh, it is.
Like,
Like,
friendship,
We're
right?
still friends. Like the next day I'm down at his house. Like we're still buddies. But I'm just like, it's just being in a judge sport like freestyle motocross is like, I think that's the one thing that I kind of don't like about our sport is that it's a subjective sport. So like the real winner doesn't always win. And that's like, even when I stopped doing freestyle motocross, I literally turned it off on TV because I was watching events that I used to be at, and I'm like watching the outcome. I'm like, that's fucking wrong. And there's not many that I watch that are right. And it's not that I don't want to be the judge in there because I would mess it up in there too. It's just it's hard like especially in the moment you can only remember what you're seeing. You're like, oh, that's cool. Like you're gonna mark everyone first as they go around, but you don't remember what the first guy did compared to the last guy.
Yeah, or if he had a bobble, or if his landing wasn't good, or if he, like just something. But there's been so many times where like it has worked to your advantage, and then where it hasn't. Where it's like, as riders, like we'll watch someone win something, and we'll all look at each other. We're like, there's no way. Yeah. Like Bilko, the year he got second at X Games when he should have won from doing the Flying Dutchman, the 360 Indy, when the dude that won the year before did the same trick on the 75-foot ramp the year before, but then the year he won again, he did it on the small ramp. Yeah. Where I looked at Bilko and I was like, dude, congrats, you just won gold. And we're sitting there like all stoked, we're like, hands down, you just won gold medal. And then it showed the other dude winning, and we both looked at each other like, what the fuck? Like, there's no way. Like, as like riders' point of view, it's like we always know, like, there's been times where I'm like, hey, dude, I didn't beat you. Like, straight up, you beat me. Like, but sometimes it works to your advantage and sometimes it doesn't. Like, that's the shitty thing about our sport.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it's a bum. I mean, I've honestly been on the losing end of that more than I've ever been on the winning end, but I'm not bummed in any way. I was like, it is what it is. It builds character, and I'm just a firm believer of like everything happens for a reason. And it's all meant to be. So I have like total peace in that. I wouldn't change nothing, but it's but I've had Pastrana look at me and go like, you won that one. Yeah. And I didn't, but everyone, but I'm like,
coming from a dude like that knows, he's like, hey,
Yeah. And I've had, you've never said to me, but
there's something he wants to get off his chest.
They come across like that. That's just a joke, but
hey, you're lucky the kids are here.
Read between the lines.
Kids are like, what am I missing here? A lot of people, you talk about like, you're telling your kids if their heart tells them to go, take it. You're not going to tell them not to. And that's sick to have a dad who's pushing you guys to, push past your boundaries, I would say, especially because you're so young. Yeah. What made you or what influenced you to go from racing to stunts and jumping and freestyle?
I was racing as a kid. I think just like the family dynamic kind of fell apart for me. I was racing a lot, and then Chad Reed and I were like battling. I was on 80 cc's. Chad and I were like quite close, but then when it went to 125, he just smoked me, and I was late bloomer, so I didn't really hit puberty till mid 20s. So from like 16,
Sorry, Cruz.
yeah, he's already hit it. But yeah, from 16 to like at 16 you turn professional. I just didn't have that strength that you're competing against men then. So that kind of went away. I became an electrician. I came back to freestyle motocross. I just had a natural ability in the air. I think being an electrician, I bought my first house, and then at the end of my apprenticeship, my house had doubled in value. So I borrowed off that, and I was like, no one was seeing. I didn't even think that it would work out for me. I just wanted to get in Freerider magazine was my goal. I mean, Twitch.
It was the sickest magazine in Australia, even for US. Like I would always have people shipping it to me because it was such a sick. Like it was a straight freestyle magazine.
Yeah, it was
like
badass.
it was dope.
Yeah, I remember like Twitch was dominating back then, and I remember like just feeding off the US scene. And Dane Kennard and Luke Urek were two buddies I grew up racing with, and when I saw them doing well, I was like, I can do this because I used to race and beat those guys. So I'm like, I can do this. And then I was at an event, and Twitch and Luke Urek had a part in the Crusty Demons. They came out and they did side by side turndowns, and I was so like inspired by that. Thanks, buddy.
Sick.
And I was just like, that is so sick. And I just like the way this fucker rode a dirt bike. I'm like, that looks so rad. So I came out. I literally stood up in the show, and I was standing there with all my buddies. I'm like, I don't want to hang out with these dudes anymore. I want to be down there riding dirt bikes with these guys. So I got up and told everyone I was going to get drinks, and I split on everyone. I left halfway through the show, got in the train, I went home. I packed up all my shit. I went and slept in a caravan with no power, and I just rode my dirt bike every day. I pulled the equity out of my house, stopped working, and I just rode my dirt bike in the bush. And I came out of the bush like 6 months later. I had all these tricks, and I went to the events. I started winning, and then a couple months later, I was next to this dude on the dance floor.
Yeah, and the first time I got to hang out with Robbie and like meet him for the first time, I was like, dude, I love this dude. Like he's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like it reminded me of like all my friends at home. We're all messing around riding practice. I think we were in New Zealand on Krusty Tour or something like that. And it was like towards the end of practice. And I think I did something like I flipped you off or something. And then he went to jump and do a turn down and flip me off. And then he crashed, got KO'd, like had to get rushed to the hospital.
Life support.
Yeah, life support, like almost died. Broke out of the hospital the next night, came to the show, watched the show, partied, and then went back to the hospital. Like, dude, the first time I met him, I'm like, I really like this dude.
Like that's right up my alley. Yeah. That seems like someone I want to hang out with.
Dude. He was gnarly. Like literally from day one since I've met Robbie, he's probably one of my craziest friends, my most like the things he thinks of in his head. Sometimes I'm like, he's tripping right now. And then I'm like, wait, if he's thinking about it and he thinks it's possible, he's going to find a way to do it. That's just like the dude he is. Like, I remember when he was telling me about the water bike stunt, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you're going to go ride a wave on a motorcycle? I'm like, there's no way. And then I'm like, I see him practicing. I see him, how much work and how much thought. And he's the type of dude that like, if he knows he can't do it on his own, he'll build the most solid team around him where he can go make his vision a reality. And it's pretty cool to see because he's like one of the most determined dudes I know.
Thanks, buddy.
One thing I got to ask
Straight
you
up,
about this
like-
video. I've watched this video 10,000 times. This is like one of the sickest videos of all time. It was for DC Shoes, Robbie Maddison, Pipe Dream. I think it came out, 9 years ago, 10 years ago?
It was a dream too.
Yeah, it's got like 30.
It literally started as a dream.
30, 40 million views. I mean, what makes you think that I'm going to get on a bike and go surf one of the craziest waves on a bike?
There's dudes that don't even want to surf that wave.
I mean, it's in Tahiti. You ask any surfer in the world, like, this is one of the craziest, most iconic, powerful waves. I mean, I got to figure this out. Like, what goes through your head when you're putting this video together?
Well, I
don't think he knows.
I wanted to be a pro surfer when I was younger. I grew up surfing every day. I lived on the beach, and then I'd stop. I wouldn't go to motorbike events because I wanted to surf, and then the surf wouldn't be on. Would wake up in the morning, be no swell, and so I didn't get a race and I didn't get to surf. And so after a year of like kind of trying to be a surfer, I missed all these bike events, and some guys that I was beating at the track started beating me. So I went back to the bike thing. And then all of a sudden that got pulled away too with the whole, just getting older and kind of, moving out of the house and whatever. And so when I found myself on my own when I was 16, I was like, I'd already had this vision of like wanting to ride a dirt bike on the wave because I'd spent so much time in the water. And I'm like, dude, the waves are the best jumps. If you could come in, you got like a line of doubles all the way out to the horizon. I'm like, I'd always think, and I think I said it to my dad one day. I said, imagine riding a dirt bike on the water and you could jump the waves. And he's like, yeah, that's a jet ski. I said, no, but a dirt bike.
Yeah, it's a jet ski.
And he's like, no, it's a jet ski. I'm like, but a dirt bike. He's like, yeah. He's like, what's wrong with you? Like, fucking.
That's the way your mind thinks, though.
Yeah, and I always want to put a bike on the water, I think. And then one day, I met my wife, and I'm watching her brother, who was world wakeboard champion 2004, Josh Sanders. And so Josh was kind of like a bit of a hero to me growing up. And he was one of the first Red Bull's first sponsored athletes. And next minute he becomes my brother-in-law. So I was out in a boat watching him wakeboard, and I'm watching him like wake surf behind the boat. I'm sitting on the back of the boat, and I'm just singing. I was watching the water coming out the back of the boat. I'm just singing. I remember saying to myself, this is talking to me. And I'm like, looking at the water thinking, what is it trying to fucking say? And I'm like, and all of a sudden I look up at the board, and I look back at the water coming out of the boat, and I'm like, oh shit, I can ride my bike on the water. I just realized that right there on the boat. I'm like, fuck, I can ride my bike on the water. I'm like, come back. I'm like, I need 2 wakeboards under each wheel. And I'm like, I could just see it. So I kind of drew a little bit shitty drawing, and I spoke to a guy that was way smarter than me. And he's like, yeah, we can, he's like, this will work. So first time we tested it, we got it to work. And then I spent 5 years with it, playing with it, trying to understand what made it work, because it would like some designs would work and I'd put it on a different bike and it'd stop working. And I wouldn't realize what was making it work and not work. And eventually I figured it out. So
just the slightest change, I remember you're like, oh, I moved this thing like a quarter of an inch and it would be completely different.
Yeah.
Like, just you had so many different boards made. Like I remember you were working your butt off on it.
Yeah.
But explain to me, so did you actually build the paddles that went underneath this bike, or was this a pre-built system?
No, so the wheel is like a custom wheel that I got from a company that makes paddle tires for hill climbing. So I just designed, I said I wanted this many scoops. And so they made the tire from it. It's actually a vulcanized tire. So it's my regular tire with these vulcanized cups on it.
That is so
this
gnarly,
is the craziest thing. I mean, come on, dude. I know a lot of people have done crazy things, you included, have a list of them. But to ride this wave on a bike, like I can't even float.
It doesn't make sense.
Swim,
it doesn't make sense at all.
That's the coolest. I think not being a surfer probably wouldn't have worked, but I just, from my surfing days, I knew like where to
And he's
sit.
being modest. Like he's really, really good at surfing. Like he rips, like.
I mean, and the era for DC too, in terms of like understanding marketing. This is 10 years ago before people were doing content.
Probably
like,
one of the most viral videos, like for an athlete, for sure.
who was on the team?
This video, it's like all thanks to one man, Jeff Taylor. And Jeff Taylor is such a badass dude.
He was at DC for years. Now he's over at he's at YT mountain bikes now.
Yeah.
Jeff Taylor. When I feel like when an athlete comes to him with a vision and like he thinks
he gets it,
he'll like back it 100%.
He's a pro athlete himself, and when I told him, I said, "Oh, Jeff, I we'll had a thing with Rob Dyrdek," and Jeff's like, "Oh, what are you up to next?" I think Dyrdek asked me like, "What do you got going next?" And I'm like, "Well, I got this," and I showed him a video that I'd showed to Red Bull, and I'm like, "I got this thing. I'm trying to like get someone to support it," and he looks at it and he sees me riding across the water, and he's like, "Could you ride that on a wave? Do you think?" I'm like, "That's what I want to do," and I'd just been to Hawaii. I went out there with Jamie Sterling, and it was like the Vans Triple Crown was on, and it got called off because it was closing out pipeline. And I was at Ted's Bakery in North Shore there, and Sterling was there with his buddy who's his tow partner. He's like, "Hey, mate, we're going out Phantoms." He's like, "Do you want to come?" And it was literally like massive, like 70-foot waves. I was saying it was 30 to 40 feet Hawaiian, which is massive. It's like 100 footers almost. And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to go out." And he's like, "Yeah, no, come out." And Amy, Cruz is a baby. Amy's breastfeeding him. And she's like, and I'm trying to make excuses to not go. And she's like, "No, baby, you can go out." I'm like, "No, shut up."
Yeah, babe, shut the hell up.
I'm like, "No, I haven't got a wetsuit." She's like, "Oh, we got a wetsuit for you." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, no, I need to stay with Amy and the baby." She's like, "Oh, it's already about to take a nap." I'm like, "Shit." So next thing I'm like, I'm going out the back, like, didn't even want to go out. And I've never been in the ocean like that when you couldn't see the horizon. It was just like going right in the hills.
Big rolling waves.
These massive rolling hills. And I was terrified. And I saw Jamie get a couple of waves, and I was white-knuckled on the jet ski. And long story short, they talked me into it and they towed me into one. And so it was the most terrified. I've done a lot of crazy shit. That was the most terrified I've ever been, was at the top of this wave, bombing down of it, letting go of that handle and realizing I got to make this wave. And I didn't have a life jacket that blows up or nothing.
Yeah.
I was just on a regular old life jacket. I'm in a tow board that's not mine. I'd never been in this situation before. And I'm hauling ass. I'm probably doing 70 mile an hour down this freaking wave and bouncing. And I got to the bottom, a bottom hand turn, and I need a total knee replacement on the left knee. So I'm like, my knee's barely holding in. I got no ACL ligament in there. I was like, bottom turn, I come up the top, and I remember like turning off the top of the wave, and then it just like this went, and it just went dark, and this thing just threw over me a massive barrel, and I come out, it spat, and I come flying out the barrel, and I was popping a wheelie on the surfboard, went past the jet ski, and Jamie's there going, yeah, and he's like, dude, that was legit like 38-foot Hawaiian, and I'm like, 38-foot Hawaiian's like a 70-foot face, and I come off the ski, off the board. I got back to land, and I was like, you know what? I can ride a dirt bike on the water. I was like, on a wave. I'm like, that's what I got from. I was like, a wave that big, I can ride my dirt bike on that, because I'd never been on a wave that big, and I'm like, there's so much surface area. That's what I took from it. So then that was like spurred the idea. Comes back to Jeff Taylor. He's like, you can ride that on the on a wave. I was like, the right wave I could. And he's like, what wave? And I was like, I think Chopu. And he's just like, oh shit. So next minute we're going to Tahiti, and then I got there and I was like, oh man, did I make the stupidest call ever? Like all my surfing buddies like, you're an idiot, dude. And I'm like,
why would you pick that wave of all waves? Like,
and I'd watch it. I'm like, if I get the right spot, it's going to be perfect, because there's so much rushing water. That water is going to be hard. But what I didn't realize is that because it's going so hard, my paddle tie has to go that speed just to stay still. It has to go even faster to propel on it. So I didn't really take all that into I didn't know
engineering.
No, he was just literally figuring it out on the fly.
It's like a treadmill, right? You're on a treadmill. You got to like go the speed of the treadmill to stay in place, and then you got to go double the speed. So that's why I got my ass kicked there. But I learned a lot, and I come out the other side. Luckily, I prepared right. I think one thing I try to teach these boys is, from all this stuff, is like just prepare right. You know, like if you're prepared for the fight, then and you know you can do it, then it's up to you to. And they ask me, should I do this jump, Dad? Should I do this trick? I'm like, inside your heart. Ask yourself, not your ego, your heart.
Yeah.
You know? And so just try and teach them like that.
He's always prepared. Like I remember you were going diving all the time, like in the pool. Like you were always doing certain things to like work to be able to do stunts like that.
I was doing 4-minute breath holds with no oxygen. So I'd
because you got to think, if you get you're wearing full riding gear, you have a helmet, you have boots, like you have everything on. Like if that wave drags you underneath, like you're not coming up that easy. Like it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for example, during that era of DC though, like you guys had like some incredible athletes on the team,
amazing.
and you guys were like kind of setting the bar for what like
Danny Way, like Deerdick, like all the dudes, like had all the baddest dudes.
You guys were literally setting the way for like what a real brand is like in today's time. I've took so much inspiration from that era of DC.
It was such a shame, man, because we were crushing it, and DC was like the #1 selling brand in that whole conglomerate, and then the whole Rosignol kind of sailed to Quicksilver, and it just kind of it flipped the ship upside down, and they had to cancel DC and the whole motor program. Like I literally come off Pipe Dream, biggest sensation we've done, and got fired.
Biggest thing ever on the motorcycle. Hey, sorry, we're not renewing your contract.
Cutting the motor program, you're out. I was like, fuck, really?
Sweet. Thanks.
Wait, I did not know that. Yeah, when it got sold, when DC got sold, they cut all the moto program, and that's why I thought all of you guys quit.
No, they I'm not sure if I meant to tell about this. I don't remember signing an NDA.
It was long enough. 10 years ago. Yeah, you're good.
But yeah, the DC was bought by Quicksilver. Quicksilver bought Rosignol. Rosignol was a turd, really, and and they lost a lot of money. And then Quicksilver was the mother company, so they had to keep Quicksilver up. DC was performing good, but they had to cut the whole DC program, and that's why I think DC as a brand just kind of flopped at that point.
They literally had all the baddest athletes in every sport that they did. Like they set the bar for shoe companies back then.
Oh, it was insane. Yeah. And it was like you guys were like the first sick. Bad boys
Such
of like
a sick
brands.
logo.
I always used to look at it and be like, God, these guys have the sickest roster.
Yeah.
And I take inspiration from Santo Studio, for Jackson, for the podcast, for the way we put athletes together from that era.
Right around the same time when he got fired from DC, he used to have a closet full of shoes, and I went in and drew a dick on every single shoe in the closet, literally from floor to ceiling. So for 5 years afterwards, he's wearing brand new shoes with dicks all over him.
Hey, just go like this. Go like this, all right? When Uncle Twitch is talking. Yeah.
Hey, if you ever get mad at your brothers, you know what to do to their shoes.
They give him ideas, man.
Yeah, don't give him ideas. Listen, I want to talk about this Greece trip right here. I mean, it's 278 feet over a canal in Greece. I mean, how do you even think of these things? Like, I'm gonna just go home, I'm gonna jump this. Like, you got to be like not human to think about things like this.
He's not human. But the things he thinks of are like, why?
I didn't actually think of this one. So this one was Morgan Carlson, who's at Stark Motorcycles now. So Morgan's like compete against me.
Was one of our judges at Red Bull X Fighters all the time.
Yep. And all around just a badass dude. But he hit me up. He's like, hey, Matto. He was working he's a hustler guy. So he was like freelancing for Red Bull at the time. He's like, yo, there's this talk of this jump that a couple of guys had talked about. He's like, I went and looked at it. He goes, there's the only person that's going to jump it is possibly you. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's telling me about it. So I Googled it. I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like, just come and have a look at it. So I went and looked at it. And I was like, dude, like this just doesn't sit right with me. You know, I was like, it's not my vision.
It wasn't your vision, your idea.
My vision, I'll do it. But it's like, it's not mine. So I'm like, I don't know, man. So I just kind of left it on the shelf. And then I was traveling from Parts Unlimited. I was with Victor Sheldon cruising across like middle America. And we just shitballing the car, and he's like, "Yeah, Matto, is there any like jump you've said no to?" And I was like, "Yeah, only one." And I was like, "The Greek Canal." He's like, "Why'd you say no?" And I was explaining what it comprises of, and he's like, "Why would you say no?" I was like, "Well, if something happens on the way in, like if it break a chain link like 10 feet from the ramp, or something inside your engine goes out." There's no out. I can't just scoop past the ramp and run past it. I'm going in the hole. I'm dead. And he's like, has that ever happened to you before? And I'm like, no. And he's like, how many jumps you done? I was like, thousands. And he's like, so it's never happened before. You've done thousands. What's different here? And I'm like, you fucking go do it then. And he's like, it's not my job. And I was like, yeah. And then it just pissed me off. It kind of under my skin. And I was like,
you started thinking about it.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck. And I'm like, he's like, you should do it. And I was like, all right, yeah. And I didn't want to talk about it anymore. And I think I got off that trip, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking jump this canal. And so I called him up, and it's been 12 months. So I called him back. I'm like, just unexpectedly, I was like, yeah, I want to jump the canal now. And because now I just got on I'm like, it actually. Yeah, I don't know.
It pissed you off.
It pissed me off
because you started thinking about, like, I said no to this when normally you don't say no.
Ego kind of thing maybe took over in this one, but the one thing that saved me with this is this thing here could have killed me, and I think what I've picked up from my time on the sport is listening to your subconscious and paying attention to the signs that happen. And for the longest time, like my ego would like drive me to compete against things, to try tricks that I wasn't really worthy of doing
or ready for.
Yeah, ready for, and just like trying to always step it up when you're tired. There's all these signs of why you shouldn't do a thing, and I think I've seen.
Or you hear, oh, someone just did this. You're like, oh, well, they did it. I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? Like stepping out of your comfort zone where you weren't ready.
When you're
to
not
do
ready,
something.
Yeah, not worthy of it. And so that's what I'm trying to teach these kids is to just ride with that mindfulness. But losing so many of our friends, whether it's been through just like what's his name? Jim, what's his name?
McNeil?
Jim McNeil.
Yep.
Like his bike literally just
cut off.
Something happened on the bike. And that was what I was worried about this thing. Is like something happened like with Jim McNeil. He passed away through just
our normal jump that we jump every day, the 75-foot jump. Yeah.
If it had been an airbag, you'd still be with us today. It was a mobile truck. So that's why I'm not a fan of those things. It's just, they're all good until they're not. And it's like,
until you know better.
Yeah. But then I've seen a lot of other friends like have their ego, push them to do things where they didn't have to do what they were doing at the time. And if they hadn't have just been pushing themselves so gnarly for no reason, they would have been fine. They'd still be here. So that's like, I'm like surfing that thing like, oh, something could happen. It's out of my control. Is my ego pushing me and I don't have to do this? And so like trying to surf that wave and ultimately this jump thing, I went and saw Paul Check because when I jumped the building jump in Las Vegas, I was like, is this my ego or is this like something that I'm meant to do? And it was troubling me because I didn't have the answer, and I was like,
I remember you were searching for a while. Like you were like, it was like you were almost lost for like a year.
Yeah. And I was like, it was
seriously like, yeah, he puts so much thought into what he's going to do. And it's like, I've never seen someone overcome so many signs of saying, no, don't do this. And then him making a positive out of it and doing it. Where it's like, no, I just have to overcome my brain and not be a pussy. Like I got to do this.
Yeah.
And like you said, when you went and saw Paul Check, it's just like shit just started falling into place.
Yeah. Paul Check's been like savior to me. Like I had an injury that he brought me back from. But Check, Ryan Hughes has been a huge impact for me, positive way in my life. So Rhino got me training, turned me into like literally in the best shredded shape of condition I was in. Then I went and I needed to turn my mind off, and that was the problem. Was like my ego was so in control of me. I needed to like have that spiritual awakening, and I've been through so much stuff in my life with like head trauma and just emotional, psychological issues, which we all have. We all have emotional, psychological issues. And it's and that's why I'm mindful of. I don't want to like put these guys in, but it happens to you just from life anyway, right? And so I don't want it to be too crazy from anything I've done, but so when I went and saw the shaman and I did like the 5-MeO DMT, it was like crazy kind of realization that my whole life I put back all these emotional, psychological issues that have impacted me, that have been scars on me. I all got put behind me. And then I just came to the realization that this jump that I was trying to do was a physics problem. And if I had the right physics, the right speed, the right angle of the ramp, I could do it. So I came out of this thing, was like,
he was like a whole new dude.
I had the answer.
Seriously, yeah.
And I was just, a load got lifted off me. And I was just like, it all made sense now. If nothing else mattered, as long as I had the right speed, the right technique, the right angle of the ramp, which all that stuff was good. I'm like, I've got it. And I'd already designed the ramp. I already knew the speed. I knew all the things. So I was like, it was just such a... And then the other part of me was like, all right, now if something goes wrong that's out of my control, I was like, well, then that's just the journey I'm meant to be on, and that's what I'm here to find out. And I had total peace. If something out of my control went wrong, I was happy to pass away on that jump. Yeah. Because I said to Amy, I'm like, I've worked my whole life to have this opportunity. Now I've got this opportunity. I'm not going to walk away from it, because like I dreamt of being in Vegas as a kid and having been like an Evel Knievel and having a moment that the whole world watched, and this was it. And it was scary, and I was like, but
all eyes are on you, like
and it was what I'd wish for. And
what are you gonna do? Back out last second?
Yeah,
like
exactly. If you back out, then you're like, oh, I was too pussy to have the courage to accept what I really wanted. Yeah. And if like they say, be careful what you wish for. Yeah. But I wished for it, and it came true, and I had to have the courage to see it through. And then I literally, when I was putting my helmet on, tears were jumping out of my eyeballs. It's never happened to me before. The only time I ever seen it was on the Flintstones, I think, when Barney Rubble got run over by Fred Flintstone. But like, I was putting my helmet on and tears are jumping out of my eyeballs, and I was like, there's so much emotion going on. And Amy's like, you don't have to do this, babe. I'm like, I do have to do this. This is like, it's critical for my whole life. So once I came out the other side of that, I was when I landed, obviously my thumb tore off my hand, but I was so overwhelmed with emotion because one, I'd made it. Two, I'd come through this whole realization of turning my mind off. And so then I started meditating. Prior to that, I was meditating a lot to turn my mind off. And now it's something I do every single day when we go to sleep. I get these boys, we do our breath work. We like do silent. We go into meditation, and I get up in the mornings. I like to try and sit there for like half an hour with my mind off. And it's just so peaceful life now, because I used to always have this internal voice that was judging myself, and I was so hard on myself. And I feel like I found self-love, and it's nice to be able to, you have to love yourself before you can love someone else, and it's just improved my life with my kids, with my wife, with her family, like just in general. Like I just feel like everything happens for a reason. I don't judge no one now, and I'm just on my path doing my thing, and I'm at peace with it. So that's what all this gnarly shit taught me.
Didn't the day of your canal jump, didn't they like drain the pool or something, like right in your runway? Like I remember something happened, like you woke up like, what the hell?
So thank you for mentioning that. So that jump, it could have killed me. So like the signs I had to pick up were things like that. Like the day, what I'd learnt was Paul Sheckler taught me, anytime your loss is to ask your soul the question, right? It's like your soul knows the answer. So it's like whether you lose your keys or you're worried about a jump you're doing, he's like, ask yourself a yes or no question. And he said, your soul will tell you a no answer will be the energy going down, a yes answer will be the energy going up. And so I woke up in the morning, I was just like, the ocean was rough, there was like white caps. So I just had that weird kind of cold on your face breeze, and I just felt the energy was off. And I'm like, said to my soul, should I do this jump today? And I was just getting this energy going down. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I asked her like every 5 minutes, should I do this jump today? She's like, no. So we get to the site. They flood the pool next door. They emptied the pool to service it, and all the water ran into my runner.
And his runway wasn't just a normal runway. Like his runway was gnarly. Like he had 2x4s, he had wood, he had to like jump a pool, jump a fence. Like it wasn't just like a smooth, wide open concrete, perfectly level runway. Like it was gnarly.
I started next door in the hotel. I went along the pool, out through the pool fence, and dropped down past all the hotel rooms, which we weren't staying at, we were just using their property. And then I'd turn and I'd go across their field, and that's where all the water from the pool had ended up, was in this field. But I'd go across this field, had like a kind of box jump over a fence that I had to scrub, then I'd land, and it was on
Clicking
the pavement,
gears.
and then onto a scaffolding, and then scaffolding go all the way to the ramp. So it was just like this. We'd try to make this like straight run, as straight as we could get from the furthest point back to the ramp, and I was barely getting the speed I needed to jump the gap when it was good the day before, and then the next morning it was flooded, so I couldn't get the run in. And then not only that, my fuel drum came, it was incorrectly marked, and so the seal was open on the fuel drum, which came from VP race fuels, and when I opened it, it said C12, and it wasn't. It was like something else. So there was that sign, and I didn't want to run just regular pump gas, so I was like, we had to wait for new fuel to get shipped in, and then I was tripping on everything, and I was asking myself, but my ego was like, do the fucking jump, you know? And so we tested the wind, and the wind meter was like 12 mile an hour, and my cutoff point is 12 mile an hour across the wind. It was like right at 12, and I'm like, the old Robbie like, oh, she'll be right, just send it. And I'm like, and so like, if I head off in like a couple of degrees into the wind, it'll like push you back, like kind of like a golf ball, you know? But I'm like, I was done doing that. I used to do that 75 foot, but when you're doing 300 foot,
Yeah.
sketchy. And then the landing ramp was like, everything was sketchy about it, but the landing ramp was super tech, and I had a really short run in, had to grease the landing to like figure out a stopping time. And then I went up. The thing that turned him was I was on the bridge, and there's an old lady there, and she's like, are you the guy doing the jump? I go, yes, ma'am. And she's like, oh, I hope you're successful because everybody comes here to commit suicide. She's like,
Oh, no way.
she's like, the energy of this place, which I was all in touch with the energy, right? Because I've just been to Sham, and I'm tripping out on energy and shit like that. So I'm like, oh God. She's like, yeah, it's like, it's cursed, this area. She's a bad energy. And she goes, if you do it successfully, you're going to change the energy of this. She goes, I hope you do it successfully because we need the energy change here.
No way.
And so I'm like, I felt like I had all the local people were championing for me to
They're
bring
like, "Come on,
something
Robbie."
successful happen. Yeah, because they felt like their place was doomed.
Absolutely.
And so then I was like, oh God. And then I'm like, oh, I'm getting this no answer. So I end up saying no. I made an announcement to the crowd that I wasn't going to jump because the conditions had a lot of reasons, and I got booed. And then first time I ever not done a jump, or, you know, kind of stood down. And then the next day, the good thing was I had the power to do it the next day. So the next day I woke up and asked myself, and the ocean was flat. It was like not a
Dead
breeze.
calm.
The birds are flying by. I got that positive yes answer. I said, can I do this jump today? I got this raising yes. And so I use that now. Like whenever I question something, I'm like, should I do this? And I ask myself those questions, and I wait till I get the positive answer. And if I don't, I'm like, I'm not doing it. And it's like, so far it's treated me well. But like the other day when we're flipping the ramp at the airbag, and it was like a small jump, but I hadn't flipped it before, and I'm like, I don't want to get hurt, and
Yeah.
I'm like, and it's a total ego thing now. I go, Pat Evans there going, don't be a pussy, Matto, just do it. And then Cruz is going, do you want me to show you how to do it, Dad? I'll do it. I'm like, damn it, like kids. And so
Yeah,
I'm
my
like,
kids call me out now.
yeah, so the ego's fully kicking in, and then I'm like, yeah, and so I use that technique, and I'm like, yeah, I've got it. But main thing is too is like going back to like knowing what I know, like body technique, the right speed. You know, if you overlook that stuff, that's when you do crash. So I was like, I'm able to go through all the steps and like. But yeah, I use that now. Used it there. I use it to kind of guide me, and that was the big awakening was in Greece. That could have gone bad, but I think postponing it a day and then jumping it the next day successfully was what really solidified. And that's like, it's playing with your life at that point, you know.
Yeah,
like
dude,
if I
it's
had done
gnarly.
it a day before, I think guaranteed something bad would have gone on. So
It's cool you realized that and didn't do it. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
and I use it now. Like I actually driving to skydive the other week, and I just got spooked for some reason. I was just driving there. I was like totally at peace, going to skydive. I got spooked, and I'm like,
Should I jump today?
and I was like, should I jump today? And I was like, I need to pull over, and I like kind of got quiet and closed my eyes. Like, should I jump today? And I was getting this no answer. I'm like, yeah, I'm not jumping.
Go
I
back
just flew a bit. And so I got home, and she's like, oh, what happened? I'm like, yeah, I wasn't feeling it. She's like, oh, okay. So I use it literally now to guide
It's
myself.
so good though, dude, because you never know. Like I
never
remember
know.
when you first started doing all the skydiving stuff, he was going skydiving every single morning, multiple jumps a day. And I'm like, dude, this is gnarly. He's like, it's not gnarly. He's like, I'm in control the whole time. I'm like, it's gnarly, dude. Like, screw that.
And it's not gnarly till it
is.
Till it is, yeah. And it can happen so quick.
And you were doing so many different jumps. I remember you were doing wingsuit, you were doing parachute. And I remember the one day you called me, I'm like, oh, how was today? He's like, oh, dude, it was gnarly. Like, I jumped out and I like had my wingsuit on and I just opened up and like, I remember something
out of
happened.
control.
Yeah, just
you get out of control in a wingsuit, and you can get these death spirals. You have to ball up, but you have to have that. You're trying to fight it, and then it gets worse, and you just get. So it's pretty gnarly.
So
I'm
gnarly,
scared of
dude.
heights. First of all, second of all, I would never jump out of a plane.
No,
I
I'm
don't
not-
even want to fly when I have to go somewhere.
I
in a
grew up
plane.
watching real TV. I ain't bungee jumping and I ain't skydiving.
Yeah, I ain't doing any of that. What about the 40th anniversary, the Evil Knievel jump? What's going on with this thing?
Is this the Vegas
How
one?
did you put this together?
Robbie being Robbie.
Yeah, I showed up to Red Bull. They said, "Hey, we got this opportunity with ESPN to do something cool on New Year's Eve. Do you have any ideas?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to jump a football field because I jumped distances, and Evil Knievel had jumped like buses and cars and stuff. And I'm like, a football field, I think America would get that. And this is back in the day when I was trying to make a name here and create a life.
This was like the first big jump, right?
Yeah.
That you did.
Yeah, it was just right when I got on the map. It was like 2008.
Yeah.
And so I was still living in Link Huggle's shed up there in the Briar Rose Winery.
Yep, I remember that.
So it was, this was like a big thing for my career. But yeah, man, it's like I literally, navigated through a minefield my whole career. That I had my wheels were all bent out of shape. I think I had a broken spoke. Like when I was rolling out, I couldn't change it. It was like, yeah, just gnarliness and but just a big will. Yeah, I think it's like it meant to be, man. It's like I feel blessed because I see so many talented athletes try so hard, timings differently. I was here at a time when the career, like the industry was ready for it, and amazing people. Red Bull has been just the wind beneath my wings, and the teams. You're as good as your team, right? And I've had phenomenal people over the years that have like Chris Marter and his old team that's worked under him, and Steve Reskers, these guys like I've met them. These guys are at Red Bull. There's so many people there that I can't even mention them all because you're always. I've been there for 20 years, so I've had so many different people come in through that just had significant impacts. But it's cool, man. I'm still working with all these guys. They don't go anywhere. They just kind of go off into their own, start their own companies and work. And like Dave Mateus is like a great guy. He's been part of like Red Bull and Nitro Circus and still working with these guys today. Matt McCall has been critical to our sport. These guys are all critical to our sport, to freestyle motocross.
Dane Herron, like all the dudes. Yeah, Tess.
Yeah.
Even Tabley. Like there's so many people behind the scenes that have like helped the sport and helped riders and stunts like this go down, like
Totally.
I remember when you wanted to do the Vegas jump, when you jumped on to, what was that, the Paris Hotel, the Arc de Triomphe?
It was New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And I remember we went out there a couple of weeks before. He's like, I want you to come out with me and like we're gonna go up top and we're gonna look, So we're inside the tower, we're climbing up, and I remember I get halfway up and I'm like, I start getting nauseous. Like I start getting sick feeling where I'm like, I don't want to say nothing to Matto because he's gonna call me a pussy right now. And I step to the side and I'm like, I don't think I could go up to the top no more. I'm looking at the ladder, it's shaking, and we're in like these tiny ass little ladders inside. That thing's, how tall is that thing?
It's 100 feet, 96 feet.
100 feet tall versus 100 feet long seems way different. And when it's like pitch black in there. And I remember I stepped to the
Someone
side of
trying
the
to stick their
stairwell.
finger up your butt.
Or grabbing your ankle, messing with you. I remember stepping to the side of the ladder halfway up, and this camera guy goes by. He's like, "Can I get by you?" I'm like, "Go for it, dude." I'm like sitting there scared. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna go up anymore. I'm like in my head, and the dude comes up with a big ass camera on his shoulder, and he's just one handed, just climbing the ladder, and I'm like, fuck, if this guy can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? So I get to the top of the ladder, and me and Matto are laying over the top, and we're looking down, and I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen 100 feet straight down versus 100 feet distance. I'm like, we'll jump 100 feet distance all day, but when you have to jump down, I'm like, I already saw like the angle of his landing and everything. Like he had it, everything all drawn out. He was practicing it. I'm like, Matto, why would you make your landing so steep when it could just be a wedge and like be the easiest jump off? And I'm like, his landing was like, do you remember the degree?
60 degrees.
60 degree, which is like pretty straight up and down. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you have to drop off this thing and land perfect. And not to mention, the landing ramp goes down, and then to the left is the biggest hole in the ground that goes underneath the Paris Hotel to the parking garage, where there's just these big ass walls and like fountains and everything's going on. And I'm sitting there looking, and I'm like, why would you do this? He goes, I want it to look gnarly. I'm like, I look at him, I'm like, you're fucking crazy, dude. Like, I'm scared just sitting up here, and you're about to jump off this thing in a week or two. And I remember the day of, I remember going out there and afterwards I was like, yeah, I'm like, Matto's not going to do something he doesn't know how to do. But I never really seen him. You never practiced it. You practiced it up at Wyvern, but you never practiced it and jumped on it there.
No.
So when we got to Vegas, that was like the first time I actually seen him go for it. And I remember sitting there and I'm nervous as hell. I've been with the guy all day, like, and he's just like cruising, just like happy. I'm like, fuck, if he's happy, I'm happy. He got it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't doubt someone that knows when they're doing something. And I remember he did the jump to the top, and it was like the biggest relief that I got. And I was just like, oh my God, he made it. Because like the whole time I'm like, what if he overjumps it and he goes past the end? I'm like, am I going to see one of my buddies die tonight? Like we were like best friends. Like we were inseparable. Like we were together every single day. We lived on the same street. Like we're always messing with each other, playing pranks on each other. And I was so nervous watching this jump, and then he landed, and I was like, fuck yeah, he did it. And I'm like all stoked, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, oh fuck, he has to jump down it now. I'm like, oh my God, I got nervous again. I'm like, I can only imagine what this dude's going through right now.
That's the craziest part about the whole trick. I don't understand. Like, it's hard enough to get up there. What made you think that you needed to do more?
That's right.
Like,
you already did the stunt. Just leave your bike and helicopter out of there
and then
leave.
climb down or something.
But Robbie's like, yeah, I could jump up. And they're like, what about getting down? He's like, I can jump down it too. If I can jump up it, I can jump down it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just never let myself take the easy option.
No, he doesn't with anything.
No.
we see that in your life.
With every single stunt he's done, he's never taken the easy way out.
More for the viewer, dude. I mean,
yeah,
it's unreal.
I like if I'm going up, I'm going back down because I don't want anyone to say that was easy or anything. I want people to say, fuck, that was gnarly.
And we did. And I remember he landed, and I walked over to him. I'm like, hell yeah, that was sick. And I'm like, dude, there's a bunch of blood on your hand. And he's like, oh, wow. Like, because he said he used to be an electrician. So when he would pull cable, his hand would get super dry. So when he landed, you barely overjumped a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I went pretty deep at my thumb got, like, I hit the ground so hard when my it slapped down, my thumb got stuck on the bar and my hand went forwards, and it just pulled all the skin away from the bone. So the bone didn't break, but just all the webbing.
Just ripped all the skin and just pouring blood. Like, I remember Amy comes up, he's giving him a hug, like he's all stoked. She's like, oh, it's fine. He hands me his gloves, goes to the hospital, comes back. We see him at the after party. He's just Matto, just living life, dude. Like, it was probably one of the funnest nights we've ever had. Like, because like the whole like vibe was just insane.
No, I heard him shout out Temecula right after. He's like, shout out to all my boys from Temecula.
And I remember like 10 years later, he was getting all his gear together and he was framing everything up. And I remember him going, dude, like, I have everything but my gloves. And I'm like, I got him. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, you handed them to me after you jumped before you went to the hospital. He's like, really? I'm like, I'll give them back to you. And he put them in the case.
Yeah, that's right.
That was like the one piece of the puzzle he couldn't find. And they were sitting in my nightstand drawer because I was like, I'm going to frame these eventually and like put them in like a shop or
Still
something,
the blood
you know?
everywhere.
Yeah.
How long
still
were they
blood
in your nightstand drawer
Dude,
for?
probably like 10 years at least.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
With the blood still inside.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
just
incredible.
dried up. Like,
That's
I
a
just,
good friend.
I threw them in a
totally.
Ziploc bag and just threw them in my drawer. I was like, this is
Everything
memorabilia,
Trish likes
dude.
is in a Ziploc bag.
Almost everything.
Hey, boys, before we let you guys get out of here, what do you think about having such a legend for a dad?
I don't know, like Dad, he always just seems normal to me, you know, like he's
Yeah.
a normal dad, but great role model. You know, he's always got great. He always just what do you call this? So I'm trying to think of the word. He what do you call this? Comforts us.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever we like, I'll tell him like, oh, I want to try this today. Come for me and tell me, yeah, you got it, you got this, and just a great moral in general. You know, he rides with us every morning, trains as hard as we do.
That's what's cool is
Makes us eat well.
he's still young enough but old at the same time to go out and do what he does with you guys. Like, that's not a lot of kids and dads get to share that moment of like
crazy.
loving the same thing and doing it together. Like,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
We went to New Zealand at the start of at the end of last year, and we're all doing the bungee jumps, whatever. And there was like this big one. I think it's like 400 foot or something. And we show up, and he's got the 50 there, and we bring it across, and he strapped the 50 up, and he backflipped off the bungee jump. He just always like, yeah.
He still has to one up you guys.
Yeah, one's up.
Can't you
us
let the
every
kids
time.
just jump normal? He's like, no, if the kids could jump, I'm doing it on a bike.
He's always thinking of something different.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's got a
Does he
vision,
tell you
so-
guys his game plans before he wants to do it, or you just show up and it's done?
No, he like sometimes tells us.
Yeah,
Sometimes, or surprises us. He show up on the day, like that day, and he's got a 50 there, ready to backflip off
I like
his
the
bridge.
one
All
that,
the news studios are there. Everyone, Red Bull's there. I was like, dude, what? How did I miss out on this?
Oh yeah, I've been working on this one while you're asleep. No, one of the coolest things is like I took him up on the hot air balloon and I got up there and I said to literally I got into motorcycle riding. I've always dreamt of flying is my whole life. Like every time I was at a fountain, you know, where you like a wishing well or whatever, throw a coin in. I always dreamt to fly. And I realized, like, told the kids, I'm like, I never told anyone this. I said, but I always wanted to fly. I said, I think that's why I rode dirt bikes, is because every time I do a jump, it's kind of like
you're flying.
Closest bit to flying. And I was like, whenever I was like, what animal do you want to be? I was like, a bird or like airplane. I just love to be able to fly. And so we went up on the hot air balloon, and I'm standing there, I got my wingsuit on. I go, hey kids, I can tell you now that I had a dream. Oh, whenever I got the opportunity to make a wish, I always, you couldn't tell you before because it wouldn't come true, but now I can tell you because it's going to come true. It's come true. I always wished that I could fly, and I said, I'll meet you guys at home, and I zip up my wingsuit and I just jump off the hot air balloon. They're in the hot air balloon. I just fly out of there, flew home.
So sick.
You guys don't freak out? You're like, Pops, where are you going?
That's just dad. That's normal. Like, dude, you got to think they've grown up watching this their whole life since they were babies. They've been around everything.
I told them, you guys got the scary part now, getting down in that thing. I'm like, catch you later. Jump out of there.
I'll be down in 5 minutes. You guys will be down in an hour.
Yeah, no, we're off for like 6 hours in this hot air balloon. I'm like, he's already at home eating breakfast.
He's at home cracking Red Bulls, chilling by the pool.
We're up there like,
Yeah, you just sitting on the couch when you get home. You just sitting on the couch.
What took you guys so long?
you know, we're coming in the land, and like the air balloon was so windy that day. And when the air balloon came in, we like hit all the vineyards. And dude, I was like, gosh, you should just flew down with it, man.
Dude, when I proposed to Suze, we were in a hot air balloon. When we came down, we hit the signs and almost fell out of it.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
That's what I tell people when I go up. Like, so sometimes we go up with the local guy, and he'll let us jump out. And when we're going up, I tell people, you guys have got the scary part, landing in a freaking hot air balloon. I'm like, I'd way rather jump out of it right now. But yeah, the kids get to see the other day, we had the helicopter come to the house and do a thing for Ethica, and it's one of the coolest things to be able to like take off from your house, jump out of a helicopter and land back at your house.
Did you land at your place or Link's?
At my house.
Yeah. Oh, sick.
Actually, next door, just right behind my house. You know, it's like
yeah.
back of the fence. Yeah, that guy there is super cool, Lewis. He's like, yeah, you can land here, but it's just I'm not trying to teach my kids to be. It is, but I'm like, dude, we're only on Earth.
Yeah, we just land helicopters in the backyard, jump out of hot air balloon.
Have as much fun as you can, right? And that's what I'm all about. It's like we go somewhere like, yeah, you can jump off the bridge. Just let me make sure it's safe to do it. But it's like, we just like try to have as much fun as we can. And we're going to South Africa in a couple of weeks for a Freestyle Kings tour, and it's going to be badass. And we get to go and see all these animals and do the whole jungle thing. So excited to I feel so blessed with Amy to be able to take our kids and travel the world. Like when we used to travel, like competing, we're two in competition with each other where we wanted to like get the good rest. We wouldn't go on any like tourist things or look at anything because we're like, no,
sit in our room and chill. I'm gonna beat his ass tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's so much competition. We'd flew all around the world, never checked nothing out because we were just so worried about competing. And now that's kind of tick that box. It's like it's so nice to go travel and check out the history and just pay attention to it because I went all around the world, didn't look at nothing. And
nothing.
Now
we'd be Spain, Italy, Japan, Germany. Like I remember going to Japan with you and like riding the train. Like he like got the gnarliest like hematoma on his butt cheek, dude. He was laying on the train all day, just laying sideways. Like we went to go see like all kinds of cool shit. Like me and Robbie have had a lot of fun together. I remember there was years where we did prank wars against each other. He won. I hate to say it, but prank wars. Yeah, like I remember showing up to his house.
Podcast.
I remember showing up to his house one day and like his father-in-law's in the garage drinking, just talking shit, like looking at the garage, like fucking Matto. And I forgot who was with me, but we're sitting outside the garage for like an hour. We're like, fuck, dude, we need him to hurt him going. So we're gonna mess with Robbie's van. He was like, I think it was like at our buddy Nudie's birthday party down at the beach or something.
Yeah.
I jacked up his van. I took all his wheels off his van, shoved them in the back, put his lug nuts in all his doors, left them on blocks, and then like he would come home. Like I left out of town for like 2 weeks. He took my dumpsters from outside my property, put them in my garage. My door was open to my house. He put 2 dumpsters in my garage in the summer when it's like 115 degrees. I go home, my house stunk like trash for like 2 or 3 weeks, dude, like gnarly. And then I went to his house and I took he left his keys in his skid steer. He was over back in Australia or somewhere. And I didn't mean to, but I broke all his sprinklers in the skid steer, grabbing all his ramps. I grabbed all his ramps and I put them on his driveway. So you couldn't go in his driveway. There was just ramps all the way. Like his driveway is pretty long. So I like, dude, he had to hop the fence.
I go home. I'm like, fuck. I had to get my seat and move all these ramps. Like, they're all got pictures on them like this.
Middle fingers and it says Twitch 1, Matto 0. Like we were keeping score on everything.
How far did you guys live from each other?
not even a half a mile, maybe. At
Yeah.
this time, we lived on the same street, MDP block.
It would have been like, it would have been like 1,000 feet max from each other.
yeah.
Everything you guys measure in feet's like a jump.
Yeah.
Well, Nate Adams' house is like 350 feet because I could just shorter there on the golf ball.
I could jump there in 4 jumps. Matt was going to do it in 1.
But, and how long did you guys live next to each other for?
Couple years.
Yeah,
I was waiting for my house that I was getting into then, but like I think the best one. I remember our wives were getting mad because mine was pregnant and he was messing with me so much. She's like, "Hey, like I don't care what you guys do, but it can't cost it. Like if he does something to us, it can't cost us money." And I told Matt, I'm like, I don't care what you do, but my wife has to be able to get her car out of the garage and through the driveway to go to the hospital to give birth if she goes into labor. I was like, that's the only rule. That was the only rule. That was the only rule. I'm like, because my wife's like 9 months pregnant at the time. We're still messing with each other. This dickhead gets me so good. It's like the biggest race of the year, the last national. It's at Lake Elsinore. And I'm calling him like, what are you going to do? He goes, I don't even have to leave my house to do it. And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, what's Matto going to do? What's he going to do? So early in the morning, I wake up and I take a screenshot of his contact. It's like his email and
your
his phone
phone's
number.
blowing up, right?
It didn't start blowing up yet, but I'm like, I have a feeling. So I just screenshotted it and I was like, I posted it. I'm like, hey, make sure to go tell Matto I said, fuck you today. That's it. Had no clue what he was doing. In the meantime, he's getting in a helicopter at his house. His phone starts blowing up a little bit and he's like, because you only told like 1 or 2 people like JoJo. And he's like, that motherfucker changed the phone number. Like he thought I found out what he was doing. He paid an airplane to fly around the race for an hour with my phone number on the back. And it says, dudes, for a good time, call Twitch. Bro,
fucking awesome.
I had like 3,800 missed calls. I had like 5,000 text messages. I'm answering phones. I'm like, what's up, dude? I'm like, what's going on? They're like, no way, this is Twitch. I'm
Call
like,
for a good time.
Yeah, I'm like, no way. My wife's freaking out. She can't get a hold of me. I end up turning my phone off because I'm like, before you can zero it out or anything, it's ding, 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 like nonstop. And this dude's just dying laughing. Dude.
And
Like,
then, but my phone's up blowing up because he's blowing up and he's getting all these calls from because I hired a company out of LA. So he's like getting calls from LA, then Anaheim, then Corona.
Yeah, because it flew from there all the way down to
So then he
Elsinore.
realized something's going on. So he just puts on my contact. He's like, tell Matto. So my phone's blowing up. His phone's blowing up. I thought he got me. So I'm in the helicopter. I got the helicopter at the house and we're going up and we're in the helicopter. I'm like, there's a plane. I'm like, what does it say on there?
What's the number?
And it's like, still says Twitch. I'm like, well, how's my phone blowing up? Anyway, we both got new phone numbers that day. And then the funny thing is our phone numbers are like almost identical now.
Yeah.
We both got the same numbers.
Yeah, they're both
the same day.
265 and they're like really close to each other.
Let's not
Like,
say the
no
number.
way, dude.
Let's not say the number now.
But the best
God,
part was I
that's
was
incredible.
like, after that, everyone's like, what do you do? Like, well, I had in my head because it was the next year and they just gave birth to Cruz and they were coming back from Australia. And I was like, I got it. I'm going to call and say my house has termites and I'm going to tent his house and say it's my house. I'm going to be like, hey, can you tent my house but not spray the stuff? And my wife's like, hell no, you're not doing that. Like, I know what Amy's going through. She just had a baby. They're flying from Australia. The last thing they're going to do is get to their house and it's tinted and you can't get into it. So I was like, that kind of ended it right there. Like, I was like, he got me. I'm like, that. Like, how do you top the stunt that he did? I'm like, that's a hard one to beat. And I've never been stumped on like trying to get people back before. And that time I was just like, Matto got me.
It all started with like a drink at the taco place because we were in there eating with Twitch. I walked in a couple of Aussie boys and we're standing in line and he's like, hey, dickhead. And I look over, I'm like, oh, you know, Jeremy's here. So we got lunch. we go sit with him. And then when we get done, we throw our food out and throw our cups out. He goes, you stupid Australians. He's like, in America, all you can drink, right? So he's like, you never throw your cup out because once you're done, you fill up your drink, and then when you leave, you got a full drink when you leave. I'm like, it's smart. So we leave. He's like, all right, see you later, stupid Aussie. So we're leaving. And
I see him roll his window down at the stoplight.
We left the restaurant and he's like, yo, Matto. And I go back over there and he's putting his daughter in the car. He's telling me something. As he's putting his daughter in the car, I see his drink that he's just put on the pedestal and I take it out of the stroller and I put it behind my back. And he folds his pram up, puts it in the back of the car, closes the car up. I still got his drink. I'm like, all right, see you later, buddy. And I spin around and my buddy's driving my van. So I get in the van and then he comes walking around the back of his car and he's like looking for his drink. And I wind the window down. I'm like, hey, dickhead, you looking for this? He's like, oh, you motherfucker. And I go to hand to him and I just drop it right in front of him.
That's what started it all.
Flip him off and we drive out there. I'm like, yeah, I got him. And then we drive out there and I go from there. He'd been asking me like, and he lives across the road. He's like, oh, what are you doing? I just told him like, I'm going AAA after this. So then I'm sitting at AAA and I'm in line. And as I'm sitting, I'm like, it hits me. I'm like, oh, fuck. He's at my house now, fucking with him. I'm like, fuck, I gotta get home. So I get home from AAA and like pull in the garage, and he's just sitting there, big smile. He's like, hey, man, how's your trip at AAA? I'm like, what have you done? He's like, oh, have a look around. I'm like, looking around. I'm like, there's one of my hats. He's got it in the bench grind. He's just ground like the whole like square out of the hat. And then my sunglasses just says, fuck you on the light, on the lenses.
I took the grinder to him and everything. Like,
and I'm like, what the fuck? So that started there day one. It was like the drink. He got me back with the hat and the glasses. And then it just
kept going on and on and on. Like it went for years. Like
it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
This is history right here.
Yes.
I'm glad that this is on camera.
Yes.
I'm glad we're still buddies. Like,
I don't know how you
I'm
guys
glad we still like each other.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like, I'm bringing my favorite guest of all time today. I'm very surprised after hearing this story.
yeah.
That's just made us closer.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's cool. Like I have nothing but respect for Matto. Like even though we've competed forever, like there's times where we hated each other, but at the end of the day, like Matto's always been one of my best friends. And just seeing what he's doing with his kids, I just have the utmost respect. Like I love to see what you're doing with this next generation. And it's like, it's cool to see you boys have such a rad dad.
Thanks, buddy.
yeah, I think
No, we appreciate you
Thanks,
guys.
one of the coolest things is watching this, because I feel like, you know, the lessons you're teaching them is like, it's not just that you can do anything you want to do, but it's the fact that you're doing it as a family and you're showing the standards, like being there for your kids being there for you guys, sharing that. That's like one of the most special things you can have. So I feel like you guys are definitely setting the standard too as a family.
Thanks, mate.
Very
I appreciate
impressive.
it. It's life happens for reasons. It's we're going through some hardships right now. Mum's not with us. She's over in and Twitch mentioned before, Jono, who's my father-in-law. He's who introduced me to his daughter, and it's my father-in-law. So it's I met Jono, and that's how I got introduced to Amy. And he's just a rad dude. Like
He's so rad.
We hit off at the start, and he's been a bit of a different cat. You know, he lost his Helen, which is Amy's mum. She passed. She left us a few years ago, and since then, Jono's been a bit different. And then we found out he had brain tumor, and so he's in Spain. He just had like a life-saving brain surgery like last week. But that's a sad. The good side of it is brain surgery is successful. Dr. Charlie Teo, he has a brain foundation. I'm an advocate for life now for Charlie Teo. He's an amazing man. So if you have anyone that you know has brain tumor, or you know, just hit up Charlie Teo Foundation, and all the answers. A lot of the answers are there. That you know he's working on people that have inoperable tumors, and since getting mindful of him, I've been able to pass someone else who's gone over and who had surgery yesterday. So.
Sick.
We're able to do like stuff for other people and find answers and give people hope. So that's like something huge. So thanks to Charlie and his work. But the good side of it is, even though it's been tough, is that us guys have been hanging out now 6 weeks. We've made it. We're still alive.
With no
clean.
mom. With no mom. You guys have been like,
Yeah.
I'm like, Matto's, and another day when he's like, oh, I've got to go to a wedding. I have Patrick Evans babysitting and Taka babysitting. I'm like, those are the two worst babysitters ever, dude. Bilko, yeah, of all of them, Bilko.
Yeah, but no, it's been really cool and like literally we appreciate Mum so much because we realize like how
She makes life easy on you.
makes life easy and but it's been good. We've been helping each other out and cooking and cleaning the house and it's and we've been riding our dirt bikes as much as well. So it's
18 days straight.
it's been great. It's been great.
Can't beat that, huh?
Nah. Getting to the 20s now.
Yep.
Getting a bit closer. I might take today off my knees. I got this big bruise down my leg from when I crashed the other day.
Yeah, we'll get you worked on right now, dude.
Yeah, we got a
Yeah.
physical therapist here full
Yeah,
time
I
at
don't
the
know. It's
Jackson House.
like my legs are
Tell them about what you're up to, Cruiser. Oh,
Yeah, what do you got
good
going on, dude?
Well, yeah, I got we got this freestyle tour that starts in 2 weeks, and then I'm doing the WSX. So I'll be a
Commentating,
journalist,
taking over the Instagram?
commentating. Yeah, taking over Instagram and TikTok. Really excited for that. And yeah, I've just been working hard on all my tricks, training every day, going to the gym, eating better. And yeah, I'm feeling a lot better on the bike, riding well, feeling good. Can't
Yeah.
wait for Freestyle Kings in 2 weeks. It'll be
I
fun.
love it. Keep practicing, dude. I love seeing what you guys are doing. Jagger, keep getting pissed off at your brother and trying to be better than him, all right? And then what's Rocky going to do? Is this going to be your guys' manager or what?
Mascot.
What are you doing,
I'm
Rocco?
mascot.
Your mascot.
Mascot. You have anything you want to say before we end the podcast?
Besides, you want a Bugatti and $1 million?
Be quiet, Twitch.
We're just trying to make dreams come true over here, dude.
Man, be quiet.
This guy's the man, dude.
He's a madman, dude.
I think you might be my new favorite guy for the podcast. You might have to be our co-host.
Yeah.
Take Jeremy's show.
Yeah. You want to host a show with Twitch?
Eh.
Listen, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here, bro.
Thanks, Bear.
You know,
Appreciate it, man.
legend in the game. If people just go and watch just one of your 5,000 million tricks you've done in stunts, I mean, you have an incredible reputation, amazing career, set the standard for what it means to be what you do. And having you on the show has been incredible.
Yeah, I want to thank you. And, I think we all appreciate this opportunity, especially Twitch. We all look up to him, and he's such a badass dude all around. And he's been a great friend. And to invite us in here to talk about it, thanks, man. It means a lot. And I just wanted to say to you, man, you made my boy love gold chains. He rolled in here today with his gold chain on, but that's not by mistake. He's like, since Jackson's popped up, like obviously you're killing it with your brand, so congratulations on that.
You,
but you inspire, like this little kid is one of your inspiring kids. That's so you see your hard work is work on you, because he walked around with a gold chain. And when you said to him today you can have a gold chain, is so pumped. But you made him popular, and that's one of your examples right there.
You're the man.
Yep.
We'll get you way
Thanks for
more.
having us.
Yeah, no worries. We'll get you guys one of all of our new U chains, and we'll make sure you get you dialed in
thank
with all the
you.
different lengths. Okay.
How cool is
But
that?
you gotta keep listening to Pops over here. Make sure you follow protocol, huh?
Yeah.
Don't act too wild over there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks for
Jack.
watching. That's the Jackson Podcast. I'm Bear. That's Twitch, and this is the legend Robbie Maddison. We out.